What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? We are here, y'all, as unfortunately we are here at the end of this regular season, y'all. But fortunately, though, what a magical season it was. I mean, seriously, absolutely magical, absolutely unforgettable, to say the least. Just
It was a roller coaster.
yeah, it was a roller coaster, to say the least. But we definitely ended way better, I think, than any of us ever would have thought we would have gotten to.
But did we though? And we'll get into it
Well, and
with our
yeah, no,
predictions.
yeah, no, absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
and we'll talk about maybe a little bit of Homer side there because I mean, got to
yeah.
keep, we'll see. All right,
We
but
keep
anyway,
receipts. We keep our own receipts at Tuffy Talk.
we keep our own receipts. Exactly, exactly. But real quick though, before we get into how the season broke down, one of the things that just recently got announced was the All 2023 All-ACC Teams. We want to kind of spend a couple minutes here and talking about it. So the biggest things for NC State wise, we had one player in first team All-ACC, no shocker, Peyton
Who could it
Wilson.
be? Oh,
Yeah,
Peyton
no,
Wilson.
yeah,
Peyton
right,
Wilson. Yeah,
yeah, right.
Mr. Do It All.
AC Defensive Player of the Year. Shout out to the GOAT there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had Kevin Concepcion get second team All ACC, wide receiver, 138 votes, which actually is the most votes of any offensive player on second team All ACC, which is an interesting thing.
Just
So
missing
basically,
it.
I mean, yeah, he's just missed it. Yeah, because the lowest wide receiver 3 for first team offense was Xavier Restrepo from Miami. He had 147 votes, so he was 12 votes difference between Restrepo and KC. So
And really, that's just like I think you get like 3 points for a first place vote, and I think it's like 3-2-1, and
yeah,
so depending on how you wanted to break that up, he was only maybe 4 first place votes from making second team
which again,
or first team, excuse me.
I mean, Restrepo is I think a junior, and I mean Casey is a freshman, so
Yeah.
I mean you can't be really too upset there. But and then third team wise, reminder. Oh, so Aiden White,
Which I think was a disrespectful.
completely disrespectful, absolutely. And then Anthony Belton got third team All ACC. But yeah, no, Aiden White, and it's funny. I was doing some thinking too, like. We talk about, because there's, I mean, I think, and I know Greg, when I first mentioned this, towards the beginning of the year, talking about Peyton Wilson, among the all-time greats. I mean, now that you've seen the whole thing, are you putting him as the best linebacker?
Yeah, I don't know about best, but he's definitely top 3. We kind of got into it in one of our live streams, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And I had him as a fringe Mount Rushmore linebacker.
Top 5, yeah.
I think you want to change my mind.
I mean,
yeah, it's unbelievable. And here's the thing: we've talked about it before. We tend to overrate or overhype people that are in the moment, right?
Sure.
And you kind of forget about the older players that have come before them, because it's just obviously it's just the most fresh thing in your mind. But it's hard to overlook that.
Well, and especially too because the guy that we have second on the list, and at least in our list, and Antonio Burnett. I mean, he's even he's singing the praises of Peyton Wilson all day long,
sure.
and I mean, and because Antonio Burnett, I think, could only dream of running as fast as Peyton Wilson does. You know, what I mean, that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
So
Thunder was a thumper. I mean, he was, I mean, he didn't have that quite the speed. I mean, what did Peyton? I mean, I think Peyton has gotten clocked as the fastest football player this year. Period. Like NFL and in college.
Yeah.
So I think it was 23 miles an hour. Is that
I think linebacker wise, yeah, he was the top. He was the fastest.
Yeah.
In the country linebacker wise. But yeah, I mean. And because that's the other thing too, that I think that if you are to put him over LeVar Fisher and Antonio Burnett, it's more because the speed and the coverage skills.
Yeah, and I think he's going to get the awards too, right? Which those
awards,
two didn't get all the awards. Fisher was a All-American, first team All-American, but it's the national awards that will probably come his way. Now, obviously, those votes will happen in the next couple of weeks, but I think he's got to win at least one of those, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. There's no doubt about it. I mean, again, Dave Doran himself, which Dave Doran, he's never been one to ever say anything in terms of postseason awards. Really, even with Chubb, he's never really said much in terms of awards. He doesn't lobby exactly. He's kind of lets his players do talking. But I think with Peyton Wilson, another thing too, man, like you really have to give his hat off to how he handled the locker room. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
after the Marshall game where,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he went back on the media and said, guys, we need to stop booing Brian Armstrong. Like, love Wolfpack Nation, but we got to stop booing him. I mean, like, that's something we haven't seen in quite some time. Somebody, I mean, really step up and have a player's back like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like simple, like, no, it's not an individual thing. It's a team. But for him to specifically say, guys, we need to stop booing Brian Armstrong.
Yep.
Like that, I think honestly says a lot. And I think that this turnaround you saw after the bye week, I think that's why you saw what you saw. Yeah, exactly. It's all about leadership.
Yep,
it's all about culture.
Absolutely.
So
right, and it's your most senior guys that are saying, "Hey, we ain't going out like this."
No,
like there's still half a season. A lot of people out there are writing us for dead. Right, they're ready to move on. Right, we're a basketball school apparently. Right, we can, from Steve Smith. They're just mailing it in, and that just didn't happen.
No, exactly. And so now the interesting thing too is I think that AC Player of the Year going to Jordan Travis is one that definitely kind of size
because he's a Heisman hopeful, right? Like he's probably going to be a finalist for the Heisman.
But is he though?
I mean, he was being talked about it. Granted, I know he missed the last 2 games essentially, so he probably won't now at this point.
Well, and also too because I mean, Peyton Wilson is up there for every single award he could possibly get besides the Heisman.
Right.
So that's
and here's the other thing: defense isn't sexy.
Well, because another thing I would say is that I mean, even though this stuff, I think we, again, we'll definitely try and stay away from talking UNC too much, but I think we can agree that Drake May last year was better than Drake May this year. Yes. But is Jordan Travis really above Drake May though? I don't know. Like that's
I mean, the stats bear it out, but again, we've talked about stats. You can make them look and sing whatever narrative you want it to sing.
Exactly. Right. 100%. So, but yeah, so I did kind of. It's funny. Let me pull up this poll which I made yesterday, asking about between Kevin Concepcion getting second team All-ACC and Aiden White getting third team, which one was the bigger, shocker? I guess is.
Yeah, I didn't actually vote in that. So if it's by one vote, maybe I can make the difference because I have an opinion.
So there were 614 votes. 63% said KC. 37 said Aiden White.
I would have said the other way.
Really?
Yeah, because wide receiver is pretty deep in the ACC. There's a lot of really good wide receivers. I just don't think the level of cornerbacks are at that same level as the wide receivers.
Well, and that's another thing too. I mean, Aiden White wise, I mean, would you consider him a top 5 cornerback that in-state's had?
Oh, man, I would take a few minutes because we've had some really good ones, right? I mean, Emerson's number 1. I don't think anyone can argue that. Oh, wait, you got somebody else?
I'd put Aiden above David Emerson. And here's why. All right. Here's why. Because consistency wise, Aiden White was not, I mean, like he saw some of the best wide receivers AC could offer 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
He didn't give up a single touchdown this year. And the only one that PFF gave him was a coverage touchdown, which like even some people said it wasn't in Aiden White's zone. So he didn't give up a touchdown, per a lot of people's eyes this year.
Yeah.
Emerson also too, his last year.
He struggled his last year.
He struggled a lot last year.
He did. So that Tennessee game was what really sticks in my mind.
And Miami, I still remember Miami, he got burned a couple of times. So that's the thing with David Emerson. He was either pick or burnt that last year. So but I mean, like, but I understand, like, in terms of like the prototypical NFL linebacker, David Emerson fits more of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Tall cornerback. Linky, tall, linky, great speed, but I mean, hey, listen, at the end of the day, Aiden White, I mean, you knew what you're getting from him every single week. You know?
Aiden White's a technique guy all the way. I mean, he runs clean technique. I don't know.
It's a conversation.
It is. It is a conversation.
It's a great conversation, which, I mean, again, it just goes back to that you got to give your hats off to Doran, man. I mean, the fact that, I mean, these guys weren't 5-star guys. These were, 3/4-star guys that ended up being some of the best of their positions in the whole country.
Yeah. And you have to get up to Burrow's finalist. No, wait. No, he's not, actually. How bad was that?
Yeah. Exactly.
So talking about postseason snub or postseason award snubs, I think that's going to be one of those to be discussed, because if you look at statistically, State's like top 20 in just about every dang category. I mean, it's
and you're talking Tony Gibson being
Tony
the best
Gibson,
defensive
of course.
coordinator.
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. I was a little tongue in cheek there when I said Broyles finalist, because I was like, how is he not?
How is he not? Agreed.
And we're homers, obviously. This podcast is called Tuffy Talk, but I mean, we do try to keep it real. And I mean, this is a guy that has by all accords has been talked about for multiple head coaching positions, right? And so how are you not if you're consistently getting interviews or getting mentioned in these head coaching jobs, how are you not a top finalist for a position or a coordinator coach?
Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out. Absolutely. Well, and I mean, so hats off Tony Gibson for
Absolutely.
Sure. But one thing which I wanted to mention, listening to the live stream a little bit, was I think it was Lindsay asked the question: was this Doran's best coaching job yet? And I'm saying right now, whatever even happens in the bowl game, I think it's the best. No doubt about it.
It's an unbelievable turnaround. I mean, it's a complete 180.
Vegas had us at 6.5. We're at 9. We overshot it by 2.5 wins.
And here's the other thing: after the Duke game, 6.5 was looking like take the under.
Yeah, no, 100%. It was. Are we going to a bowl game?
Right. Were we going to get the 6 wins?
And now we're in the talks for the Orange Bowl. Like,
what?
By ourselves in 3rd place in the ACC. 6-2 in the ACC.
How crazy is that? The top 4 teams are all Atlantic teams again, even without divisions.
Who would have thunk that, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't know what the odds of that would have been in Vegas, but I would have easily,
Or I don't know if they're the top 4, but at least the only teams ranked in the CFP, or the Atlantic,
Yep. So, and I do want to ask this question too, just kind of a curious one. So, because I heard this on another podcast, this question get asked: would you rather have a 10-win season or go to the Orange Bowl? And my thing was, have we ever been to a New Year's Six Bowl?
I mean, we've been to some old school bowls when there wasn't as many, like we've been to like the Cotton Bowl, which can be considered as a New Year's Six. I think we were the Cotton Bowl.
Well, in the 11-win season, we went to the Gator Bowl.
Yeah, so that's on New Year's Six. I mean,
right.
Here's the interesting thing. New Year's Six is a relative new term, right? Because we went to the Gator Bowl back in the day when it was played on New Year's Day. So, that was a New Year's Day bowl. Bowls have changed drastically over the last 15, 20 years because of TV. And, but I think we went to a Cotton Bowl, but I can't remember.
I think Tremaine's our running back Tremaine Stevens. I think his team with Sheridan went, if I'm not mistaken.
They went to the Peach Bowl, and that was played New Year's Eve because I was at that game. Yeah, that was like 93. Right. I want to say 93. That's right. But again, the bowl games have. But see, you're right though. Like in some years, the Peach is a New Year's Day 6, right? Because that bowl has now since been elevated since the CFP became in existence. So again,
So real quick, I mean, back
to the original question.
I'm saying, I mean, from a recruiting standpoint, saying we went to a New Year's Six Bowl. I mean, to play a high level competition team, and just say, hey, listen, we played against Ohio State in the Orange Bowl,
right, or in Alabama potentially,
Holy crap! I mean,
we want Bama, right? We've been saying it.
I mean, yeah. Well, and again, I'm saying all this saying. 6 weeks ago, we were reminding people this was a rebuilding season. Yeah. That is the most mind-boggling
We were
part.
Fighting for the Military Bowl.
Yeah. we were hoping and praying to go to the Pinstripe Bowl. We were praying for it.
Yeah.
And here we are saying we could. So listen, I mean, at the end of the day,
so what is your answer? So what do you want?
Yeah, I want to go play against the best team possible.
I think I think as a competitor, you want to do that, right?
And because if you win that game,
elevates it even more.
I mean, because again,
that's a cherry. That's a cherry right on top.
We've already locked Casey in. Yep. Like we already have a lot of guys coming in, freshmen that'll be playmakers.
Yep.
And again, I mean, like with everything Dorn's done with, developing guys, like I think there will be a line out the door of guys who would love to come play for N-State next year.
Yeah, this is kind of what we were talking about in
beautifully.
21, right? When we had the potential for that 10-win season, we were looking for that 10th win to kind of catapult you to the next level. And I think this bowl season can be that 21 season, right? And here's the other thing, like, and this is no disrespect, and I kind of talked about it in the live stream the other night, like to think that this is could be the team that gets you to 10 wins is insane. Like again, good talent on this team, but it wasn't the talent that we had 2, 3, 4 years ago when we've had multiple opportunities to get to 10 wins. That's the insane part. So I don't even think we've reached the ceiling with a lot of these guys on this squad, assuming everyone, stays whole because of the NIL and the transfer portal and all that stuff.
21 was definitely a more talented team than this team in terms of paper. Easily. Carrie Angeline, Thayer Thomas.
Yeah, look at the guys in the NFL right now.
Yeah. And then on defense, you had Drake Thomas.
Yeah.
You had, I mean, it was
Isaiah Moore.
It was definitely Isaiah Moore. Yeah. Like it was definitely a better talented team. So again, and I think now at this point we'll kind of start to talk about kind of recapping the season in part 2 here. But I just really can't say enough again of that. I think that I think it's obvious. Like I've always said, every single year I want to see us moving upwards. Like I want us to see trending upwards. Exactly.
Yep.
And there's no doubt we are trending upwards. There's no doubt about it. Like, and I'm looking, because we've talked about next year's schedule, and I mean it's
a Louisville type schedule.
Yeah, it's not a very tough schedule, assuming that there's not really big changes in terms of like all of a sudden a bad team doesn't get really, really good, which I mean, in today's transfer portal world, who knows? But
not looking too far ahead of it, I think the toughest team on that schedule is going to be Clemson. And they're not the same Clemson. Like honestly, they don't scare me right now. I mean, we beat them the last 2 of the 3 years. Now, granted, that game will be in Death Valley, which changes that complexity a lot, because that's a tough place to play. I don't care how good or bad Clemson is.
For sure.
But the home schedule, I mean, it's another schedule where you could start off continuing your home winning streak, because there's really not a tough team. Because I think we have Duke at home next year, and who knows what that team's going to look like. Because obviously Elko just took A&M, Leonard is in the transfer portal. Like I don't see that team being the same. Granted, we go to Chapel Hill next year.
Yeah.
So
so we play Tennessee in the Duke's Mayo kickoff.
Yep.
Then at home we play Louisiana Tech, NIU, Duke, Stanford, Syracuse, Wake Forest. None of those games I'm really like, whoa. Like I mean, you could go undefeated next season, and I wouldn't bat an eyelash.
No.
Then we play at Cal, at Clemson, at Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech's gonna be better.
Georgia Tech and at UNC.
Right.
So we have.
And like you said, we have Tennessee on a neutral field. So
right. So I mean, Georgia Tech, can't overlook that. Clemson obviously is going to be tough. Cal, I don't know much there. And then
I guarantee you, Cal, you can get tickets for $5 in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, so just take that for what it's worth. It's not a It's not a quality. We didn't do the ACC any favors by bringing Cal and Stanford in, and we already had that conversation.
The only thing that's a little bit different is I wonder how they're going to handle the schedule-wise, because obviously this is going to be the first time where I think this team, and even Dorn, is going to have to prepare for an away game that's this far away, that's not a bowl game.
Right.
So, you definitely got to take into a little bit more like jet lag, things like that, so that's the only thing that kind of worries me with the Cal game. But so I'm really only circling 3 games on the road schedule with Clemson, at Georgia Tech, and at UNC.
And Georgia Tech's a small stadium. Like it's not like it's not. Death Valley is definitely the toughest game on that schedule. For sure. Taking from the ACC perspective, I think the toughest game overall will be that Tennessee game, the second week of the season.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, the point being is that I still am standing by my comment saying it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we get this championship. Like it's only a matter of when.
It's coming.
It's happening. We're not knocking on the door. We are banging on the door. Like I mean, it's It's there.
Yeah,
It really is there.
and again, this is this season, but I think Florida State's going to look drastically different. They brought a lot of 1-year guys in. Like, are they going to be able to replicate that? Louisville, can they sustain success? But anyway,
it is
that'll be fun for the preview for next year.
Yeah, no, but it is interesting though that like it hit me this year about how, man, it's so weird not playing Boston College this year.
It is.
Like, it's really
or Syracuse, same thing.
Or Syracuse. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
playing them.
But I'm okay with that. Like I like, and here's the thing, and we keep talking about, you're saying, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If that schedule lines up, and we're kind of looking at something like that potentially for next year, where you're getting some of these teams in kind of down years or transitional years, that's when you have to take advantage of it. And then you have to stack consecutively after you've done that, right? So we've been stacking nicely. Now it's time to go just smash the door in.
Absolutely. So excited for it, and excited for the season. And again, I mean, just got to give a shout out to Peyton Wilson once again, man. I mean, that dude was absolutely phenomenal. He will be missed, no doubt about it. But I think that now that you've learned the news of KC being locked in for 2024, I mean, first of all, I mean, that's just great news, period, no matter when it happens.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that it happens so early is huge. I mean, it's an absolute game changer, because now
the day the portal opened, he said, "I'm back."
Yep. And made it very clear and signed a contract and everything.
Yeah.
Because now that is a ultimate recruiting coin right there.
Well, here's the other thing. You can build around it, right? Now you can go get those guys. Hey, look, we've got a playmaker who started as a freshman, was second team All-ACC, was ACC Rookie of the Year, ACC Offensive Rookie of the Year. You can be that next Concepcion. When you go to a recruit's home, you have playing time. You don't have to go to an Ohio State and sit for a year or two. You don't have to go to an Alabama and not start.
Are you alluding to something?
Hey, take it for what you want. I'm just saying. But the point is you can come. I think it was. I think it was Thayer. I think Thayer said you can live out your dreams going to NC State. I think I saw that tweet. And we've talked about it in other sports. If you're good enough, all right. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen Bradley Chubb get drafted in the first round. We've seen Bradbury get drafted in the first round. We've seen Icky get drafted in the first round. You can do that and still be successful at NC State. So why not come forge your own path? Why don't you be the big fish in the little sea instead of the little fish in the big sea?
Amen. I like it. All righty, y'all. So with that being said, we will pause on this recap here, and we will pick up actually kind of breaking down the season overall and talking about comparing our preseason predictions to how it ended up. And so to make sure you do not miss out on that, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're notified all your devices whenever we go live with any new Tuffy Talk content. And if you enjoyed this conversation, please do us a big favor and hit that like button, and also make sure to give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, y'all. But thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see y'all soon, and go Pack, y'all.
Let's go Pack.